Hey, fourth graders, it's Mrs. Halick for science this week. I am kind of playing with my camera a little bit here, so bear with me. Last week with your classroom teacher, you discussed weathering and erosion. Weathering, the process by which rock is worn away or broken down into smaller pieces through wind, water, ice, or other agents in our environment. And then erosion, you should have these definitions or these vocab words in your science notebook or your lunch log, whichever you're using. So you can turn to that if you want and follow along with me. So erosion being the process of how those smaller bits and pieces of rock that have been worn away are now moving in our environment. And that also can happen through wind, water, ice, and gravity. So this week, we're going to look more closely at weathering. There are two types of weathering we're going to be learning about this week, and we're going to be exploring through some investigations. So you are going to do a few things at home when you're at home as a virtual learner. You're going to do a few things in your classroom this week to explore the two types of weathering. And then you'll also be watching a few videos of me doing a couple demonstrations with you, showing you the two types of weathering a little bit more closely. Okay? So I'm going to shift over. I'm going to take my camera here and I'm going to move it to my tripod so I can show you my lunch log. So in your lunch log, you are going to add 2 new vocabulary words to your lunch log or your science notebook. So I know some classes are using science notebooks. I chose for my class and Miss Cotton's class to use the lunch log. So I'm on page 9 in my lunch log. You may be on page 8 or 9, depending on how much room you needed for your previous vocabulary. At the top of the page, you should have types of weathering, either in your notebook or on your lunch log or in your lunch log. And then the two types of weathering we're going to be talking about this week are mechanical and chemical. So I have my 2 definitions, and then up here at the top, I sketched a little illustration to go along with my definitions to help me better understand these 2 words. So, for example, mechanical weathering is the process in which rocks are broken down by physical action such as freezing and thawing. So something physical is happening. And for my example, I have here, this is a road. I should have added a little bit more color here to my road so you could see it better. But this is a road, and this thing right here is a pothole. Okay? And this is an example of mechanical weathering. So in the winter, the road becomes very cold. Parts in the road will freeze. There's cracks in the road that water will get into. They'll freeze, and then when it freezes, it expands and cracks and breaks down the rock in the road even further and creates this like little divot in the road, which we call potholes. Okay, and they make driving not so much fun. And our second type of weathering that we're going to look at this week is chemical weathering, the process in which rocks are broken down due to chemical reaction, such as acid rain dissolving rock. So up in my grid, I have a sketch. This is a giant rock. I know it looks like a bunch of little potholes, but it's a giant rock. I could have shaded with my pencil probably a little bit better. And above my giant rock, I have a cloud with rain. Those are giant raindrops. And the raindrops are falling on the rock. And because the rain is acid rain, due to our environment and the pollutants in our atmosphere, the acid rain is breaking down parts of the rock. And so it's putting these little crevices, these little holes, kind of like craters, into this ginormous rock. So these are the holes that are being created in my rock. Okay, kind of looks like a chocolate chip cookie. And over here I wrote acid rain, and in parentheses, I wrote chemical for chemical reaction, and then I'm telling you what it's doing. It breaks down rock. And we're going to look closer at that in Project Lead the Way. So I'm going to stop this video. So you want to get these two words, these two vocab words, either into your notebook or into your lunch log. You can pause the video to see my definitions so you can get them into your notebook. And then I have one more video I'm going to do for you for today.